There are endless stories about Jim Chapin. He really was a brilliant mind at many levels. Jim had so much knowledge and information, literally the genius mind that he was, very, very high IQ. On my 30th birthday, I had a party, and there were many friends that were invited to this party. It was a surprise party for me, and of course Jim was invited, he was there. And it was around that time where the game Trivial Pursuit came out. And at the party, everybody said, "Oh, this is great, man." He said, "Let's play the guys against the girls." So he said, "Oh, this will be great." So, just a fun little game. We're at this party, there's, 80 people that are there. It was just fantastic. So we sit down, and we got the guys on one side and the girls on one side. We got the table, and we roll the dice, and the guys were able to go first. So the first question was read to us. So Jim was sitting next to me at the table, and the first question that was asked was a question like on sports. Before the question was even read, Jim answered it correctly. So we were like, "Oh my gosh, it was great, incredible." So the girls, we move our dice, we go by, we roll again. The next question was asked about history. Jim answered the question. Jim answered every question. The girls never went. He answered every question. I mean, information. The UN meeting in Reykjavik. I said, "Jim, how do you know this stuff?" He says, "Well, I've read a lot of books and I just retain that." And he just had that kind of a mind. So we literally won the game. The girls never had one question asked them. He read every single question that was asked to him. He answered the question correctly. So he had that kind of a mind. It was a brilliant, brilliant mind. Well, he always had the desire to want to go to Brazil. He always said he had never been to Brazil. And a very dear friend of mine, Vera Figueiredo, who was an absolute fantastic player and teacher and educator in Brazil, in São Paulo, Brazil, puts on a festival called the Batuca Festival. And she said, "Dom, we have this festival. We want to invite you to the festival." And I said, "Boy, how about we organize Jim Chapin to come also? He always wanted to go to Brazil." She said, "We would love that." Now, at this time, Jim is already now probably well into his 80s at this point, and it was just, not easy getting Jim around. Well, she has the festival in December in New York. It was a massive blizzard. This blizzard was going on. It was absolutely insane. So I get Jim in the car. I've got Jim's luggage and my luggage, and we're grabbing some symbols and things, and we drive to JFK Airport. It is just blazing with snow. It is just, the blizzard is coming down like you can't imagine. We get there, and Jim was having some challenges with his legs. So I said, "Jim, no problem." I said, "I'm going to drop you off in front. I'm going to get you a cart. Put the luggage on it, just stand with the cart, and just stand there, and let me get in." Now, I've got to take Jim's passport and with the visa we had to get, and I'm going to go to the counter. So we walk in, and there was a large ramp that went down into the actual counter area at JFK Airport. So I said, "Jim, why don't you just wait here? Let me just go to the counter and put the stuff at the counter and start getting the paperwork together for our tickets." Only one flight leaves to Brazil from New York in the evening. There's not a variety of flights that go down. You catch that flight, or you have to wait the next day to go to Brazil. So we get there, we're coming down. So Jim's standing at the top of this ramp, and he's with one of the carts that have the luggage carts, and he's holding this thing, and I'm looking back at him, and as I'm talking to the woman on the counter, I can see the cart start to move forward. Well, as the cart moved forward, Jim's standing still. So now the cart takes off, Jim's hanging on to it, and I see Jim literally going down the steps of this ramp on his stomach, being pulled by this cart. I drop the paperwork, I run over to him, I grab him, I said, "Jim, are you all right?" He goes, "Hold on." He goes, "Fam, I'm all right. I said, "Great. Jim, just wait right here. Let's get you a wheelchair." So we get a woman to get a wheelchair for Jim. She comes out, she puts him in the wheelchair. We finally get him in, we get him settled. I get the tickets. I am completely covered in sweat. I am just, from grabbing Jim and doing this and carrying all the luggage and going the bags and checking it. We get it together. Now we're walking towards the gate. We're a little late, so they're kind of holding the plane for us. So we're getting Jim, we're moving him along the way. The woman is pushing Jim with the cart, and Jim turns to me and says, "Fam, I've got low blood sugar. I've got to have a sandwich." I said, "Well, Jim, we're going to get to the plane. We're going to eat on the plane. We'll have a meal on the plane." He says, "I got to eat now." I said, "Oh my gosh, you guys keep going to the gate. Let me run." So I run to one of these little, kiosk centers, and I buy a tuna fish sandwich on a big roll. That's all they had. I just grabbed whatever I could grab. This tuna fish sandwich, it was like a $5 sandwich. I give the girl $10, keep the change, and I'm running down. I finally catch up to Jim and this woman pushing the cart. I give it to Jim. Jim opens it up and takes a bite from the sandwich. He goes, "Oh, fam, thanks, I needed that. I feel much better already." We're walking, we get there, we get to the gate now. We are the last two on the plane. We get on the plane, coming in, and where Jim was, there were 3 seats on one side, then an aisle, then Jim was on the first aisle seat in the center area. So we get in, I get Jim in, I am sweating, we get him in, we get the bag up on top, we get Jim in. Jim finally gets to his seat and just falls back down on the seat. Oh my gosh, he goes, I feel so much better being here. I said, oh Jim, this is great. I walk around to go to my seat, I sit down, and all of a sudden a woman starts yelling, oh, I smell fish! I smell fish, this is terrible! I'm gonna get sick! Where's that fish smell coming from? I'm on the other side of the plane, I hear this, I'm going, oh my gosh, the tuna fish sandwich. Where the heck is this sandwich? So I get up and I come in, I said, Jim, where's the tuna fish sandwich? He says, I don't know. I said, well let's look. So I open the top, and now I'm with the flight attendant. We're looking at the top, we're looking for this tuna fish sandwich. You really could smell the tuna fish. We open up, the woman's still complaining, oh, that smell. I said, man, we're gonna get to it in a second. Let me just we're gonna find, we can't find the sandwich. I look on the seat next to Jim. I finally say to Jim, stand up. Jim stands up, and the tuna fish sandwich is attached to his rear end on the back of his pants. And I'm going, oh my gosh. The flight attendant goes and gets some towels and stuff. We're cleaning Jim off. We get the sandwich. We wrap it up. We get rid of it. They brought more food out for Jim at the point. We get there. We're finally on the plane. We get going. It's about an 11-hour flight to go to Brazil. Safe to say, I am physically exhausted. Jim's finally resting. We're there. The woman's quiet about the tuna fish. Everybody's happy. We arrive. We get to the festival. Vera is there. They pick us up. They take us to the hotel, we get ready, we go and set up, and that next day we played the festival. And Jim played so well, and he inspired the 1,000 people that were there at such a level to see this elderly man in his 80s to be able to perform so well. Jim's technique was always fantastic. He played great, he spoke well, and he sang a song that he wrote called Famularo. And when he sang that song, with the tearjerker that it was, the people gave him a standing ovation. And I sat back on the side and I said, this is incredible. That he finally relived his dream by performing in Brazil to sing the song that he wrote. Vera was fantastic, and that memory will be with me for the rest of my life because it really was Chapin at his finest in Brazil.